Today on Green Country People and Places.
Here at the Tulsa Historical Society, we preserve and present Tulsa history.
Take me riding in the car.
Well, this is the D.W. Corral Museum.
I'll take you riding in my car.
We're probably one of the only places in the state and maybe in the country where you can go to a furniture store, and if you don't see what you like, we can make it for you.
Oklahoma's Green Country. It's full of unique places and interesting people.
So you milk a goat as opposed to a cow.
Give me your wallet.
So come along with us and enjoy the ride.
I left Oklahoma, driving in a Pontiac, just about to lose my mind.
We are at the Tulsa Historical Society and Museum this morning. Here at the Tulsa Historical Society, we preserve and present Tulsa history and all of Tulsa's stories to our visitors. We have 9 exhibits in our building that visitors can come and look at, and each of those exhibits changes at least once a year, so there's always something new to see. And right now we are standing in our Tulsa in the Teens exhibit, which it covers the decade of the 19-teens and tells all of the big things that were going on in Tulsa during that decade.
It's really impressive because you guys used to be in a little bitty building, but now you have
That's right.
this wonderful building with all this exhibit space, and I mean, you have cars right behind you. You have room for cars, right?
We do. And these are 2 great Model Ts that were loaned to us for this exhibit. And people love cars, so we always like to include cars. It really draws people in and helps people picture what life was like in the 19-teens.
Well, and you guys are not really funded. I mean, you get you have volunteers, you have donations, things like that. So we're talking donations on these objects you have on display, right? Most of them?
Many of the objects that are in our exhibits have been donated to the museum by either individuals or local organizations. Some of them are also on loan. The cars are actually on loan and will be returned to their owner when the exhibit ends.
So this really is a community historical society.
It is. We only have what the community provides to us, and that includes both artifacts in our collection as well as the donations we use to operate.
You have these impressive walls. So how does this work? What's going on?
Well, these are our graphics that basically tell the story of the exhibit. And so in this exhibit, we're talking about Tulsa in the 19-teens, telling about what was going on both with the community as a whole as well as in people's personal lives. And we like to include lots of images so people can, again, really picture what life was like during the time period we're talking about.
Well, these are super high quality. I'm impressed that they've blown up so big and it's got so much detail, because looking at 3rd and Main, 1913,
Yes.
you can see people with horses and carriages and the stores that are open there. I don't see anything powered by gas yet. It's
You know,
old.
there actually would have been some automobiles by 1913 in Tulsa. Tulsa was actually ahead of a lot of communities in that way because there was a lot of wealth in the area because of oil. Once oil is discovered, you have very wealthy people coming to Tulsa, relocating, or coming to Tulsa and making money. And actually, it's surprising that there aren't any automobiles in this photo, but we will shortly see some as we continue on throughout the exhibit.
Okay, so now we're seeing the gasoline-powered cars.
Yes, we are. And this part of the exhibit talks more about what was going on with the community as a whole and the way that the community leaders at the time really helped develop Tulsa and turn it into the oil capital of the world.
Is this like World War I
This
era?
is World War I, and that, of course, was one of the major events of the 19-teens.
Oh, that looks uncomfortable.
It really does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And so we have some great artifacts from people that were in the military, that were from Tulsa, as well as we have this great flag that represented Company D, which was a company that a number of people in Tulsa served in.
And despite the amount of space you have so much stuff you can't display at all. And
That's
things
right.
like this display are really cool because you have how many photos stored in here?
You know, we have about 200, and these include both photos that are already in the exhibit as well as photos that we didn't have room to include.
Right.
And one of the things people can do with our touchscreen is really to interact with the photos, and they can make them bigger.
Wow.
Except I
if you
can't
have
do
the
them.
right fingers.
Right, if you have the right fingers, and so people can get an opportunity to really look at the close-up details.
Oh, that's neat, because then you can overlap and bring something
Yes.
to the forward.
So
Oh,
there's
that's
just
neat.
all sorts of things that people can see that is not elsewhere in the exhibit.
And you said also that you have like more rooms on this floor, right? And
We do.
and what do those have?
On our first floor right now, we have an exhibit on W.K. Warren, the Warren Petroleum Company, and also the things Mr. Warren did for the community of Tulsa. We have a local art exhibit, which is something that we have on a regular basis where we feature local artists that do art related to Tulsa history.
Okay, and that's the one with the really neat the hand drawings of like Garth Brooks and
Yes,
Trisha Yearwood.
yes. Right now, the two artists that are featured are Heather Chenoweth and Megan Kaufman, and they're two young women in their 20s, up-and-coming artists. Heather Chenoweth does very bright, colorful, fun paintings of different places in Tulsa, and Megan does portraits of famous Oklahomans.
So you're not only a historical society, you're also a today's society.
Absolutely.
You're trying to help bring new things in and expose new artists to new audiences?
That's true. We cover Tulsa history from its beginning up until the present because history was 1 minute ago. And so we do have things that are current, contemporary, as long as they're related in some way to Tulsa's history. So these two artists, they're talking about Tulsa history or Oklahoma history in their art.
Get your kicks on Route 66.
Michael Wallace, you got a display on him.
We do, and this is actually on both Michael and his wife Suzanne. Michael is currently our historian in residence, and we also have the office for the Route 66 Alliance here in our building. And so in honor of his coming to join us, we decided we would do an exhibit explaining to people just all the things he's done and why he is our historian in residence.
Wow, he was actually young once.
He was. And you know, most people know him either for his books that he's written, his mini books, his work with Route 66 and sort of bringing it back to the forefront.
No, people know him because of cars.
And that's where I was headed next. And people know him because he played the sheriff of Radiator Springs in the movie Cars. When school groups come, they are very excited to find out that that is exactly who Michael Wallace is because everyone's seen Cars.
Well, if you ever plan some motor west, Jack, take my way. That's the highway, that's the best. Get your kicks on Route 66.
I've been to Michael's house before, and this is an awesome photo because that's the way his office looks.
That's right. Clearly, he is a man involved in lots of projects.
And he's not afraid to show the work.
And that's right. So he's just done a number of things, and his wife helps him with all of his projects as well as doing her own projects. And so it was a really great story to tell about the two of them and all the things they've done here in Tulsa.
Okay, you have to explain this.
All right, the Rider Needs Ride sign it was actually used by Michael Wallace as part of a 4-part television series in 1997 as he was hitchhiking along Route 66 in Oklahoma.
Oh, that had to be cool. Now, please
Yes.
tell me that the axe was not part of the hitchhiking part.
As far as I know, it was not. That is something that was given to Michael a long time ago by someone he knew in New Mexico. And it was an axe that belonged to D.H. Lawrence.
Wow, that's cool. Now, this is the second floor, right?
It is.
So what is the purpose of the second floor?
The second floor, just like the first floor, includes a number of exhibit galleries. We actually have 5 exhibits on the second floor.
Do these all rotate through?
They do.
Okay.
So all of our 7 exhibit galleries rotate at least once a year, and then we have 2 permanent exhibits.
This one's bright.
It is bright. And this exhibit is about Theater Tulsa, which was formerly the Tulsa Little Theater, and they are celebrating their 90th anniversary this year. So they have been around in Tulsa for a long time and have had thousands of actors, singers, directors, backstage people that have helped put their productions out to the community. And they have an amazing archives of their history, and so we were able to utilize all of their historical photos and costumes that they've used in various shows.
My favorite room in my house has my junk drawer, which has all my neat stuff. And this is kind of your junk drawer room because it has very important neat stuff, but you can't make a full show of it, right?
That's right. This is a few of our favorite things gallery, and it includes artifacts from our collection that maybe don't fit into another theme that we're doing an exhibit on or have never been seen by our visitors. But it includes lots of great little stories. I've never heard it called a junk drawer before, but it is very similar. These are all important stories, and there are lots of them in this one space.
Now this is really interesting because you have actual floorboards original floorboards from the Cain's Ballroom.
That's right. When they replaced the floor, they offered some of the floorboards to us. And of course, being a long-standing Tulsa institution, we need to preserve its history just like everything else. And one of its most famous people, Bob Wills, this is his Masonic application. So there are just all sorts of great stories in this gallery.
That's fascinating. And in the gallery, on the walls, you have pictures of the infamous and the famous that have come through Tulsa and lived in Tulsa and passed through, right?
That's right. So we have photos of Norma Smallwood, who was from Tulsa and was Miss America in 1926. We also have photos of lots of celebrities who maybe just stopped by to visit or knew people in Tulsa.
Like Bob Hope, I see him over there. And then you have, of course, Will Rogers and Eleanor Roosevelt.
Yes.
This was a hopping place at one time, wasn't it?
Absolutely. So there have been lots of famous faces that have been here and gone, and we have the photos to prove it.
And talking about here and gone, Houdini, the great
Yes.
magician, you actually have an actual signed letter from him.
We do, and this entire scrapbook is full of letters that were sent to Glenn Condon, who was a media personality from early Tulsa, and we've got this letter that Houdini wrote to him in 1920 as one of those letters.
That's priceless. Well, this is old now. We were in new, right?
That's right. This part of our building was originally built as the Sam Travis Mansion in 1919, and it was renovated and reopened as part of our building in 2008. And this is a space where we have lots of programs. It's set up right now for a book signing that will be later this evening. We also have lots of rental events, both inside and outdoors.
I see the large tent out there right now. I guess you're going to have a wedding or something.
Yes, I believe that'll be a wedding, which will be nice and air conditioned in the heat.
And these sorts of events also help support the Historical Society,
They
correct?
do, because we receive no public funding. So we are supported by our members, by fundraisers, as well as grants.
Living on Tulsa time. Living on Tulsa time. Gonna set my watch back to it 'cause I am alone. Gazing from my window to the streets below on a freshly fallen silent shroud of snow. I am a rock.
Well, this is the D.W. Corral Museum. This museum was started by a longtime Catoosa resident, D.W. Corral. He was sort of a jack of all trades. He liked collecting things. And so we have, in the museum, we have gems, crystals, fossils, rocks, minerals, bottles, and we have a transportation museum, which is the other building, where we have cars and wagons and surreys. You have two major components here, the rocks and the minerals. The minerals are generally natural formations that you would just collect, whereas the rocks, Mr. Corral was a lapidary, which is someone who cuts and polishes stones and makes jewelry. When he went into semi-retirement, he worked on the lapidary stuff. He started his first museum back in the early 70s. He had purchased the old Catoosa post office in an auction for $400 and turned that into his first museum. And it was a rock and mineral fossil museum. And it just kept growing and growing. It grew so much that he had to expand, and the buildings which are here today, he built specifically to house his collection. He built the display cases, and according to his son, much of the wood used to build these display cases actually came from trees that were growing on the property here years ago. Once he started the collection, people that he knew in the area began donating bottles as well. And he went to a lot of auctions and swap meets and whatnot, and just he would buy, sell, and trade anything he thought was interesting.
Take me riding in the car, take me riding in the car, take you riding in the car, I'll take you riding in the car.
We have 50 years worth of automobiles here. The earliest one is an 1898 Locomobile, which is a steam-powered car. And then the newest one we have is a 1948 Dodge. So we have 50 years worth of cars, and there's 11 automobiles here that fall in that range. And it's a really great collection because you can really see the development of the early automobile and how things went from kind of a free-for-all, everyone just tinkering and making things the way they think they should be, and it kind of gradually became more uniform over the years. Yeah, most of these he restored himself, and many of them were just buckets of bolts when he got them. So yeah, he was a crafty guy, and he must have searched long and hard to find all the parts for these cars. And when he was alive, he would drive all of them. Even the steam-powered car, he would occasionally get in it and drive around town. I did not have the pleasure of meeting Mr. Corral, unfortunately, but I have heard that he was quite a character.
Front seat, back seat, boys and girls, take you riding in my car. Trees in the houses walk along, trees in the houses walk along. Truck and a cart and a garbage can, I'll take you riding in my car.
We're probably one of the only places in the state and maybe in the country where you can go to a furniture store, and if you don't see what you like, we can make it for you. And whether it's the wood, the height, the style, the whatever, design, we still fabricate custom furniture for people. We've been doing it for 32 years.
Wow, and you don't make just the square stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
this is one of your pieces right here,
this is one
right?
of our art, an Art Deco style. Tulsa's kind of famous for Art Deco. So it's a burled piece, burled wood with a curved side. We try to match the veneers on the doors so they're left and right paired, and then this one has a granite top.
That's beautiful.
A glass door and a self-closing drawer.
Well, and it's really neat too. I mean, even the touches of the handles that you have on here are special, aren't they?
Yeah, those are French Deco from a company that still does some kind of period pieces. So we try to tie the hardware in to go with the design of the cabinet.
That is really, really beautiful. And you said off camera to me before that this is a high-level field to get into, and what you're trying to do is make it easier for people who don't have as much income to get into it. So you're designing things like your
we have
nesting
other
tables.
We have some new tables that we've come out with that are nesting, that we can make them in any kind of wood. Those are solid pieces. The legs are solid wood also, and they screw on with a metal bracket that we've kind of discovered.
That's nice.
So we also offer that in different materials. We offer it in a granite. We offer it in an MDF, which is basically a wood that's used all the time for composite material, but we're routering it and we're finishing it just to try to help make the cost affordable for people.
So we were just celebrating the round and the smooth, and now we're back to the square, and you're accentuating it in a nice way, aren't you? I love the green doors on this.
Well, this is a kind of a straight-lined entertainment cabinet, and we did put anodized aluminum doors on it. This company's a bet.
So it's metal.
It's metal.
Yeah.
And they've anodized it green. There's other colors that are available. It was just sort of to shake things up. This one's made out of wood, and then it's covered with laminate. The inside's finished with a pre-finished maple.
And this is for all the people who have their slimline TVs on the wall now,
Yeah,
right?
everybody's asking for things like this, where they can either set it on the cabinet and have storage for their equipment, or just mount it on the wall right above it.
Because you had to be a big shot, didn't you? You had to open up your mouth. You had to be a big shot, didn't you? All your friends were so knocked out.
Now this is another one. It's a little lower version.
Oh, that's
And this
neat.
is made out of wingay, real wingay, which is an African wood.
That's a splintery wood.
It
But
is,
you
and
deal
then
with
we
veneers a
bleached
lot,
it.
right?
You
Oh, that's cool.
And we bleached it with a bleach 2 times. It's called bleach tone. And now these are drawers for just CDs or DVDs or whatever.
I like the fact that you have grain on the inside too, so it's pretty when you open
Yeah,
it.
that's a pre-finished maple interior, and this is a fold down for equipment. And we have actually 2 fold downs. Both of these are.
You know, I get so disappointed with a lot of designers who design for design and not function. And I like the fact that you're keeping in mind that somebody's got to use this and it has to have a purpose.
People want the storage, and they've got to have a place for the equipment. So this works out really well. It's just a simple step kind of design, but it could be any wood, any size, any length, any height. That's the thing that we do, is make things fit people's needs. Now this is another entertainment cabinet that I do, and it involves these doors that are carved. They're African doors, and there's a supplier that actually is from Africa. He lives in Arizona, but he has work outside of Santa Fe.
Those are incredible. I love the look of them.
They're all carved, and then we put them in as a panel. We have to make the door 1 inch thick to handle them, so you can actually see the back and the front.
Oh, that is neat. So again, it's 3 separate panels.
Yeah, they put it together more as one, and when you actually take it out, it's actually in one piece. But it's made out of 3 separate boards. And then we can make it any size or any depth or height, depending on the surround that we put over the panel, as far as increasing the dimension of it.
You like to work with a lot of materials, don't you?
Yeah, this is a new thing for me. It's a dining table, which can also be done as a coffee table or a console table, but the legs are made out of glass. So it's laminated glass, 3 layers of 1/2 inch.
And it's structurally sound.
It's incredibly strong. It's just mostly vertical, weight on it, and we've tempered the middle piece of glass, and then you shatter it so it breaks apart, but being laminated like an automobile windshield, it stays, together.
Okay.
And we have a metal bracket that we make, and then the top can be any kind of material at all. This is more of a reclaimed sort of look.
I love the texture.
Yeah,
You
it's
didn't
got
make
a
it
texture
completely
to it.
smooth.
And that's super durable. It's actually a laminate material that's phenolic backed, and you can spill water on it, or it's great for families with kids. And it comes in a bunch of different color choices.
And looking at the chair next to you,
Yeah, then
you
we had
also
to-
carry the shattered glass
We had
look
to
into
come
that.
up with a chair to kind of go with that leg design. So we put in a 3/8 shattered glass back. Now all the glass is done locally at a TriStar Glass. They're able to do different types of laminated glass.
Now, you don't make everything that's in your gallery. Like this came from Vietnam?
Yeah, anymore the furniture's made all over the world, from the Pacific Rim. There's still stuff made, of course you can get furniture made in Italy, but in order to get the variety and in certain cases the price point, we have to kind of shop the market, shop the whole world. So the sofas, we bring in a lot of the chairs, some of the bar stools, some of the dining tables, just in order to have a variety of styles and also a variety of price points. Because made in America, it's a little more expensive just because the labor costs are more expensive. And everybody's a little bit coming back to made in America, which is a good sign. But the consumers have to know that, in order to support the local jobs, it just costs a little bit more than paying for something that's made in China.
Table talk. What she said.
So this is where all the magic happens.
Yeah, we moved into this shop just recently. It's a little bit smaller, but it's a little more efficient and laid out better with better lighting, and we've got some new equipment.
I'm jealous. This is a nice size, though. And you have Randy working over here on one of your tables.
Yeah, this is a custom piece for someone. They just wanted a simple table base. We made this one out of white oak. So we're trying to get all the fabrication done and glue up all the joints. It's going to finish out in a kind of a gray stain. It has a granite top. The guy has his own granite top in this case, so we're going to just make him a table base. It's about 16 by 4 feet long, and it's made out of solid wood.
It's nice to see craftsmanship in action. And then you have a big, huge tabletop right here.
Yeah, this is another customer. He wanted a specific size table, 66 inches in diameter, which doesn't really exist on the marketplace.
That is
And
heavy.
he wanted 2.5 inch thick solid oak. That was his request. Now over here, we have the base for it, which again is 2.5 inches thick.
Wow.
And big enough to hold the base, so it's really, really stable.
It has to be stout.
Yeah.
Wow, that is neat. And you have a little piece over here that kind of shows some of the construction on how, if this is a solid block of wood, it'd be several $100s.
Yeah, that one's a laminated veneer, so it kind of keeps the cost down. but it also makes it super strong.
It is. This is really stout.
Over here in this room, we have a kind of a laminating area and a finishing area. This is Reed. He's working on some of our new legs. These are all machined out of solid ash.
Wow.
And they have kind of a contour to them. We also do a round version of the same leg.
So hand sanding, that's almost a lost art, I think.
Yeah, it pretty much is. Most of the stuff you buy in factories are kind of machine sanded, but they don't always get all the scratches out of it.
What's this right here?
This is a new little end table for somebody to buy their sofa. So it actually has 3 levels. One's for holding your newspapers and any kind of important paper. This is to hold a pad and a pencil and that sort of thing. This gets a little piece of granite on top of it so it can hold your drink or your food.
Is there a little Frank Lloyd Wright influence
in this?
in
It's a little bit. It is a little bit like that. It's made out of solid walnut. At least all these layers are. Then it's going to have a little piece of dark granite that goes on the top of it.
Well, you know, I'm so impressed that with the work you're doing. It's nice to see that someone's keeping Made in America alive. Also, the craft of working by hand and making something unique, and that's such a lost art.
Thank you so much.
Table talk.